So our exam, you can notice this is an actual version of the exam. So your exam will be very similar to this. You'll just have different numbers. And so what I want to be able to show you is the thinking behind this exam so that you guys can be successful, okay? All right, so in the first example, it says that we have a file that's 289 megabytes that's being downloaded. If 13.4% is complete, how many megabytes have been downloaded? And it says to round our answer to the nearest tenth. So the whole times the percentage is going to tell us how much we've actually downloaded. And so it's going to be 289 times, and then we need to convert this 13.4% to a decimal. And that's going to give us our answer. And so how to do that is we can go 13.4 divided by 100, or just move the decimal 2 spots to the left. Okay. Then multiplying this, we can do it like this and do the multiplication. But I believe in this problem, they're going to allow you to use a calculator. And so if you are allowed to use a calculator, it's just the 289 times 0.134, which should give us 38.726. And what we're looking at is they want tenths. And since they want the tenths, we're looking at the 7. But to decide if we're going to round up or down, we need to look at the 2. Is the 2 5 or above? If it's 5 or above, we go up. So that would have become an 8. But if it's 4 or below, it stays the same. And so in this case, the 2 is below. And so our answer should be 38.7. And then we really should be good about labeling. Since it's a word problem, it's megabytes, right? 38.7 megabytes. Are there any questions on this first one?
No.
Okay. All right, in the next one, it's asking us to turn 14 over 3 into a decimal. And so the 14 is above, the 3 is on the outside. The 3 goes into the 14 4 times. We're left with a remainder of 2. That means we need a decimal, and a decimal we need to add a 0. Bringing that down. 3 goes into 26 times. So we're going to get 18. We see that that's going to be a 2. We're going to bring down another 0. That's going to go in 6 times. Again, it's going to be a 2. And we can see that this answer is going to repeat. So we only need to write the first one, and it's 4.6 with a repeating bar above it. Okay? The way I used to always explain it to my students so they wouldn't get it wrong is I would say it's in and out, right? In over out. So that's just a good way for you to be able to do your fraction in terms of this is on the in, this is the out. And then doing your division, okay? Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, all right. Number 3 is 2.5% as a decimal. And so since we're talking about 2.5 is the same as 2.5%, correct? And so like I said to you, when we're getting rid of percentages, what we can do is just move the decimal 1, 2 spots. So that means our decimal will be here. We'll have a 0. And then in that spot, there's nothing. We need a 0. So it becomes 0.025. And that is our answer without the decimal. If you wanted, you could have done it this way, 2.5 divided by 100, and then gone through the process and noticed, okay, Here's a 0 goes here, 0 goes here. It can go in twice there, so that's going to give us 200. Then 50, we need to bring down a 0, and then the 5, and that would have been another way to do it. But just move the decimal over 2 spots, and you should be very, very good with this problem. Okay? All right, number 4. It says, write the number 3.075 as a mixed number and as an improper fraction. So as a mixed number, it's going to be 3, and then we need a decimal, or we need a fraction, right? So 0.75, remember this is tenths. The 7 is the hundredths. And then the 5, it's thousandths, correct? And since it's thousandths, I could write 75 over 1,000. And then really what I could do is I could clean that up and simplify it a little bit. How about we go by 25s? So 75, if I put 25 into it, that's 3. And then 1,000, I believe, is going to be 40. That's right, it's going to be 40. And that would be my mixed number. Okay? To do the improper, I think I showed you this before. Step 1 is going this way, and we multiply there. And then step 2 is to, after multiplying, we add this. So 3 times 40 is going to be 120, plus 3 is going to be 123 over our 40. And so these are our 2 answers. 123 over 40, and actually better than that one is this one. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now for number 5, when we go from a decimal to a percent, remember when you went from a percent to a decimal, you move to the left. When going from a decimal to a percent, we're going to move to the right 2. So if I have 0.42, I move the decimal 1, 2 spots. That will be equal to 42%. Okay? The mathematical way to do it, so you know percentages, would be to go 0.02 times 100, and that's going to give you your percent. That would give me the 42. We okay with that?
Yes.
All right. I'm just talking to myself. It's cool. Can you guys hear me pretty clearly? Is it glitching at all on you?
Not on my side. It's perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
It's perfect.
Okay, cool. Yesterday, I think I was doing way too much. I had an external speaker so that you guys can hear me better. I had my iPad connected to the computer. I had my monitor that was attached to the computer, and I was recording through another program. I think I overwhelmed my computer. It was like, please stop. What are you doing to me? So
It was only a bad connection for me when students started coming in.
oh, okay. I don't know what it was, but I think we got it now. Okay, so for number 6, I always like to think of these problems in terms of money. So if I owe my friend $7.30 and I pay him $2.10, how much do I still owe him? So I'm just working with this part right now. If I pay him that $2.10, do I still owe him money? Yes, of course. Good. So I'm going to owe him something like $5.20. But then he needs to borrow $11 from me. So now that he's borrowing $11 from me, am I going to owe him any more money? Yeah, of course, I don't owe him money. But since I did owe him some money, he's not going to owe me the full $11. He's going to owe me the difference of the $11 and the $5.20, right? So that means that he's going to owe me $5.80. And that's my answer for this one. I always like to think of these problems in terms of money. It just, for some reason, it just makes more sense to me and makes it easier for me to understand and get. Okay. For number 7, it wants us to write this mixed number into a decimal. And so before I turn it into a decimal, I'm going to make it, I guess I don't have to. I know that the decimal is going to be 2 point, and then the decimal piece is going to be the 13 divided by 16, right? So I'm going to go 13 divided by 16, put the decimal with the 0. I know it's going to be 0 there. 16 goes into 130. Shoot. What is that? 8 times, I think. 8 times? 160. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's 128, right?
Yes.
Okay, 128. So then that gives me a 2. I got to bring down a 0. That means it'll go in once. That's 16. So now I have a 4. I got to bring down a 0. That's going to be a 2. That's an 8. Bring down another 0. And I believe that's 5. And I think that's it. Does everyone follow the pattern there for the division? Am I doing that too quickly?
No.
Okay. And there is that problem right there. So as you can see, this exam shouldn't be too bad. And for those of you who are already ahead, if you just let me know, I can open the exam up now, and you can take it anytime between now and the time the exam is actually due. Okay, next. Number 8. It says this year a small business had a total revenue of $56,700. If there is 26% more than their total revenue from the previous year, what was the total revenue from the previous year? So this is actually higher than it was the previous year, right? So what we can do is, they want to find out what the amount of revenue was for the previous year. So really, this is the total for this year, right? Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
And this is 26% more than last year's. So that means that if I go 100 minus 26, that's the percentage of what it was last year. So that should be, what is that, 74%? So if I go 56,700 times 0.74, that should be the revenue that was last year. And that should be 41,958. And we can check. It's number 8. Here, let's just check. See if I did it right. Oh, 45,000. Let's see, what did I do wrong? revenue from last year. Okay, so let's see. Oh, that's why. This is why I messed up. My apologies. Do you guys see?
Do we have to add 100 plus 120?
That's correct. I was just about to point that out. It's more than, and that's where I messed up. It's more than the total revenue of the previous year. So I was basing it off of 26% off of the current year, and so that's the difference. So it would be 56,700, right? Is what it's equal to for our, what we're trying to find out of 100 plus the 26%, or since we're writing it as a percent, as I don't want to write it as a percent, I'm going to write it as 1.26, okay? And so dividing that, we're going to get 56,700 divided by 1.26, and that's going to give us our 45,000. So X is equal to 56,700 divided by 1.26. So the revenue was 45,000. Does that make sense? The subtle difference? The big difference there is it was based off of the revenue from the previous year. Okay? Okay. My apologies. Okay, next problem. A chemist is estimating the volume of a solution in a test tube. The actual volume of the solution is 27.2 milliliters. The chemist's estimate is 30 milliliters. Find the absolute error and the percent error. Okay, so absolute error is just going to be the difference between the two, correct? So the absolute error is simply going to be 30 minus 27.2, which should be 2.8 milliliters, correct? And then the percent error, will be that 2.8, I think I said 2.7, I'm tripping, 2.8 divided by what is the actual, right? Which is 27.2. And then we multiply that by 100 to get our percent. So 2.8 divided by 27.2 times 100. And they want the estimate to be at 10%. So it's 10.2941. So it should be 10 point what? Since we're rounding, it should be a 3. Are we okay with that? Remember, actual is the measured minus the expected. And then the error is the actual minus the expected divided by the expected. Okay? All right. So this next problem, how many lines do we have in between 1 and 2? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this tells me that each one of those lines is a 10th value, right? So this is 1 and 1/10, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. So C is at 1.7. Does that make sense how I got the 10th value for each little line in between?
Yes.
Is there anyone that's unsure?
Can you explain it one more time?
Sure. So how many lines are in between the whole numbers? So here's a whole number, here's a whole number. Since there's 9 lines in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 10th line gets us to the next whole number, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So then I would go a whole number is always going to be equivalent to 1, right? When we're counting, it's just equivalent to 1. So 1 divided by 10 gives me my tenths. Because it's always going to be 1 more than the number of lines in between.
Okay.
So if I had 19 lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many lines do I need to get to the next whole number?
19.
I need 1 more than 19. Because those are the lines in between. Does that make sense? So I would need 20, and then I would go 1 divided by 20 would tell me what each line is worth. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just remember that. It's always going to be 1 more than the number of lines in between, and then you just go 1 divided by those the total number that you got. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, for number 11, it's a fraction, and it wants it in simplest form, so I'm just going to go 45 divided by 100, and the reason I divide by 100 is because the 5, the smallest number that we have in terms of decimal for this to the right, is in the hundredths place, and then I'm going to just 5 times 9, and then 5 times 20, so that will be 9 over 20, and that's my answer. Okay? All right. Number 21. It's 2.1 times 2.1, so I'm going to actually show this. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Now I have my 0. Now I'm going to go 2 times 1. That's going to be 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to get 4, 4, 1. But how many decimal places were covered in our original problem? So if I count from here, I went 1 decimal spot, and here I went 2 decimal spots, right? When I add them up, 1 plus 1, meaning the decimals, means move the decimal 2 spots. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and that's where the decimal should be. So this should have a decimal right there, and my answer will be 4.41. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. For 13, 73, and I'm going to change that 4/25ths to a decimal. So if I multiply each by 4, I'm going to get 0.16. And the reason I did that is because that would have given me 16 over 100, and now I know that's 16 hundredths. Just a quick, easy trick. If you make the denominator 100, it becomes very, very simple. And then, I should do it this way, 26.1. This is a 0, so that will be a 6. There's a 0. I need to borrow. That will be a 7, and that will be a 4. So my answer should be 47.06. Are we okay with that? All right. Well, since I'm recording this, please, you should probably watch this a couple of times. And then what you could do is copy these problems down and try to do them on your own without the video and see if you can actually do it. That will be a very good indicator of how well you should be able to do on the exam. Okay? All right. Now we're on to number 14. There's a 0 there because 40 doesn't go into 39, but 40 does go into 390. 10 would have gotten us 400, so that means it's a 9. So that's going to be 360. Now we got to bring down a 0. I think that's a 7. That would be 280. Bring down another 0. 40 goes into 200. I believe that's 5 times, and so my answer should be 0975. Are we good with that? Okay. All right. What number is in the tens place? So if we look at this, this is tens, ones, tenths, and hundredths, right? So my tens place, it's going to be the 5, and my hundredths place should be the 6. Agreed? It must be really early for you guys. You guys are really quiet today. I get it. All right, so the next problem, it wants us to evaluate this. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that 7/8 into a decimal to try and make my life a little bit easier. I already know what that is. I have it memorized. I've spent too much time with these types of fractions. But that doesn't help you, so I'll show it. So this should be a 8. That's going to give me 64, which will give me a 6. We'll bring down the 0. That's going to be a 7. And then a 4, bringing down that 0. And that's going to be a 5. So it's 0.875. And then we can just multiply it like we normally would, right? 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2, so that's going to be 32. Carry the 3, that's 23. Now we need to add a 0. So 7 times 4 is 28. I'm going to carry a 2 there. 7 times 6 is 42. Plus 2, those are going to give me 44. And then 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 4 is 32. Now, since I'm on the third number, I need to add 2 zeros, right? Each time we do a number. So the first one doesn't need a 0 added. That just happened to be a 0 because 4 times 5 was 20. When I did the 7 multiplying, I needed to add 1 0. And then when I multiplied with the 8, which was the third number, I needed to add 2 zeros to it, just for placeholding. So then 8 times 4 is 32. Carry the 3. 8 times 6 is 48. Plus 3 is 51. And then 8 times 5 is 32. Plus 5 is 37. And so we got to add 0, 0, 1. Oh, that's a 0. Carry a 1. 4, 6. 10, carry a 1, 4. Now, how many places was the 0? How many decimals do we have in this problem?
4.
We have 4. So I need to count from here 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I have 40.6 as my answer. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Number 17, I'm going to do it in little parts for you since it's just adding. And then I'm going to take that and add it to the last number to get my answer. So that's going to be a 12. That's going to be a 4. Carry the 1. That will be a 13. And so my answer should be 13.42. Does everyone see what I did there? I just took the first 2 numbers and added them. oops, that should be a 6, silly me. And then I took that new number and added it to the last number. And that's how I got my solution. Instead of adding all 3 at once, I did it in a way that I would feel comfortable. Okay. What does the and mean? What does that mean?
Decimal?
Correct. A lot of people write checks incorrectly because when they try to say the number 456, you hear people say $456. Well, $456 means you have $400.56, not $456. So the and matters. So it's telling us we have 5 decimal, and then it says 63 thousandths. So since it's thousandths, I'm going to go 063, and there's my solution. We okay with that? And is absolutely critical. Okay? And is absolutely critical. All right. For our next problem, here's a 0, here's a 0. So that will be a 7. This will be a 3. That's a 5. We got to carry the 1. And we should get 2.537. And there's our solution. Okay. These next sets of problems, they're pretty cool. What does the word of mean? It means to multiply. So some percentage that I don't know times 8 is means equals 33.52. Okay? So percent means something over 100, right? So we have to remember that. So I'm going to go x times 8 is 33.52. So x is equal to 33.52 divided by 8. So that's going to give me 4.19, and at this point I think you guys have that. Right, that's 4, that's going to be 32, so that's 15, that's going to be 1, 72, that's 9. Now, since it's a percent though, I need to move the decimal 2 to the right, correct? So the percent is, it's 419%, right? Because when we're talking about a decimal in terms of percent, 1 is 100%, and anything above that is more percentage, right? All right, so in this next one, it's 10.4% of, don't want to confuse you, I'll put a dot, x is 7.02. Well, to get rid of the percent, I'm going to move the decimal to the left. And so x is going to be equal to 7.02 divided by 0.104. I don't know if how Alex taught this to you, but I was always taught move 1, 2, 3. So this should move 1, 2, 3. And that's where the decimal goes. So I'm going to go 1047020. Is that how Alex showed you? Okay. So I don't think 7 will work. So I need to use 6 here. And that's going to be 624. subtracting that, I need to borrow. So 8 and 7, and then bring down the 0. 7 should work there. So I'm going to get 728. Borrowing from there, I'm going to get a 2, a 5. Let's see about bringing down a 0. And now we have a decimal, right? Excuse me. I think that's just 5. That's 520, and so that's 0. Okay, so 10.4% of what number is 7.2? The number that we have is 67.5. So 7.02 is 10% of 10.4% of 67.5. Are we okay? Again, it's just translation, right? The keyword of and is. Of meaning multiply, is meaning equal. All right. Number 21, it says 15 overseas investors own 47 out of 50 of the businesses. Rewrite the fraction in the sentence below as a percent. Okay, so they want this to be a percent, right? So the easiest way to make it a percent for me is to make the denominator 100 first. So if it's 50, what do I need to multiply 50 by to get to 100? By 2, right? So if I multiply the bottom by 2, I have to multiply the top by 2, and that's going to give me 94. Well, 94 over 100 is in the percent form, right? Because percent means per 100. So it's 94% of the businesses. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to share for the next problem is it says write 0.1 as a fraction. Oh, you're okay, Eric? You get how I got that? Okay. Yeah, because percent means per 100. So that means the top number will be our percentage. Okay. So 0.1 is the same as 1/10, and it's because we're in the tenths place. Had it been 0.2, I would have been 2 over 10. Would have been the fraction, which would have changed to 1/5. Does that make sense? So if I would have had something like 0.2, it's in the tenths place, so it's still 2 over 10, but that can be reduced to be 1/5. We okay with that? Okay. So there's the fraction for that one. All right, we got 3 more, and then I'll let you guys go so you can work on Alex and get stuff done, and we'll go from there for next week. All right, the cost of a pack of 15 pens is $3.15. We want to find how much it is for each pen, right? Find the unit price. That's what that means. In dollars per pen, so per pen. So that means what I need to do is go $3.15 divided by 15, so I can find out how much each one is. So that means I'm going to go 3, 1, 5, and 15 on the outside. So it's going to be 0. Here's a 2, because that's going to give me my 30. And then 1. So it's going to cost per pen 21 cents. Okay, I don't know how they're going to write it, if they're going to write it this way or if they write it this way. Either one will work for me. Let's see what they would have put on the exam. I'm curious. What did they put? Oh, they put it in terms of dollars. See that? So it's 21, 0.21. Oh, I should have read that. It says what? In dollars. So, sorry, my bad. All right, the next one. The price of an item has risen to $243 today. Yesterday it was $180. Find the percent of increase. So to find the percent of increase, what we're going to do is we're going to go the new price minus the original price, and then we're going to divide that by the original price. Does that make sense? So it's new price minus original price over the original price. So what is that? 2063 over 180. That's going to be 0.35, or it's going to be a 35% increase. That's a big increase. We okay with that? Here, let's make sure I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong, but not today. Okay. Any questions on that one? Does this formula help?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then the last one, it says, write this as a decimal. You already know how to do this now. This is 20, this is 3. Too small, so I need the 0. It goes in once. That's going to be a 1 minus 0. I need a 0. How many times does 20 go into 100? That is 5. And so there is my answer. We okay with that? All right, are there any questions on any of these?
No.
No? You're all okay? All right, how's progress going on, Alex, for everybody? You guys feeling okay? You're feeling comfortable?
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
For like these columns, how can you find them? You could just refresh your mind pretty much.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Because some of these I kind of forgot. Because it's been a while now. Like
Oh.
it's been like a week or two.
Uh-huh.
I forget these pretty quick. And I want to know what time you find these columns. You
Oh.
can do it all over again.
Oh, perfect. So the practice exam has all of these embedded in it. So you can do the practice exam multiple times. And on the practice exam, it will allow you to look at explanations too if you forgot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so once you get all your topics and stuff done, hit the practice exam a lot. And remember, the practice exam is extra credit towards the exam.
Alright.
Okay?
I got it now.
Okay. All right. I'll stop recording.